Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylee and today we're back on my island Rubble for another speed build video. Today we'll be building an abandoned street market inspired by these pictures. This was a fun but very difficult build for me, so let's get right into it. So I did manage to do a little prepping off camera for this build, and our plan is to have two buildings on either side where the single tile codes are, and then a walkway between them, and then I did also place this house, and then behind this build we'll also have a street that leads to our tiered neighborhood. To start off, I'm adding some fencing to the perimeter because I feel like in real life you wouldn't just have the cliff edge, there would be some sort of fence or wall to prevent people from falling off the side. And for this I'm using the iron and stone fencing, which I really like, and then behind that I'm layering a row of hedges. I just like how these two fences look layered together, and this build won't have a lot of greenery unlike a lot of the other builds on this island, so the hedges help to bring some of that greenery bit to this build. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. And you can see I left a tile empty without a hedge, and that's because I wanted to place a street lamp on either side here, and then I wanted to see what this looked like from the bridge outlook. You can't see the fencing too much, but I like that you can see a bit of the iron bars through the top of the arch. Then we're going to whip out our terraforming tool because we need to make some cliffs so that our building can have 2 stories. And as always, I'm going to cover the edge of the cliff with some of this wooden deck code. Because there's nothing worse than spending a bunch of time making a beautiful building and then you adjust your camera and see the ugly, disgusting, horrifying color of the grass in the middle of your building. So to keep my sanity, I'm just going to cover the whole ground with some coating. Now I'm actually going to start decorating the top of this cliff, and the main part of these buildings that you will see will be the inner sides and the front corners, so that's where I'm focusing a lot of the smaller details of these buildings. And I wanted this area to have a city feel, so I'll be using a lot of screens. Again, don't ask me how these signs are working in the middle of an apocalypse. Maybe the electricians survived and they've been doing a good job at keeping the lights on. And then to get that cluttered feeling that some of our inspiration pictures have, I'm using 3 different screen objects to get that point across. I also wanted to again mention that we're getting pretty close to finishing this island. There is really only one major build left on this island, mixed with a few smaller filler areas. So I have been thinking of theme ideas for our next island, and the day that this video is coming out, there's actually going to be a poll up on the channel to vote for the theme. Our channel members did get a sneak peek at the first 3 theme ideas, and they will get another sneak peek at the remaining 3 ideas in the next couple of days as well. So if you want to be one of the lucky people that get to see the behind the scene content, make sure to hit that join button down below. All members get some previews, and then the top tier get exclusive legendary access to even more content previews. But there will be 2 or 3 rounds of voting for the next theme. I have a total of 6 themes that I'm interested in creating, so there will be at least 2 polls for picking the top 2, and then I'm still trying to decide if I want to pick from the top 2 and keep it a secret, because this will be the island that we start on stream, so maybe we'll keep it a secret until we get to the naming of the island. That sounds like a fun little surprise. But going back to the build, so far I've added a few more retro transportation stops to look like the second story of the building, and like I said, I want this building to look cluttered, and this is an apocalyptic island, so I do want this building to look a little run down. So I'm using different color variants of the retro transportation stops and other items to make it look like people slapped this building together with whatever materials they could find. And then we're going to continue our scrap metal vibe to the bottom layer of our building by adding 2 more retro transportation stops. And then in the corner I'm layering a simple panel and some meters and pipes because there was only room for a 1 tile wide item. Then over on the inner side of the building, I carved out 3 tiles in order to fit a utility pole and have enough room to squeeze in another retro transportation stop. I decided to have this one cut into the building a little bit because I wanted to line up with the one on top of the cliff, and I feel like having the building not be a perfect rectangle kind of helps get across the cluttered and messy vibe that I'm going for. And then we get to the part of this build where I start going crazy with the terraforming tool. So I had placed down this one storefront, and then I was like, what if I cut 2 tiles deep into the cliff, and then add another storefront, but instead of facing sideways, I have it facing forwards, so it breaks up the feeling that everything is facing one direction on the bottom level, and honestly, I really like how it looks. And I wanted to continue the forward-facing feeling, so on top of the cliff I'm adding 2 more storefronts back to back, again to look like the second story of this crazy building. To finish off the side of the building, I'm just blocking off this last piece of cliff with a phone box, and then I wanted to make kind of like an entrance to this actual build. So on each side I'm adding one of the tall fence items, and this one is in the black variant, and then adding a curved street lamp in front of that, and I'm going to do this on each side so it looks more like a real entrance to the market. Now we can get to work on our second building, and this one didn't end up as crazy as the first one even though it's a bigger building. But just like our other building, I want the most detail to be on the inner side and the front corner. So in these areas I'm layering a stall with a TV, an air conditioner, and another LED sign. Do you ever just wonder to yourself why you like a game so much, when there's little things that just drive you crazy? And then it's time for the really fun process of creating a storefront building on top of a cliff. I don't know why I just don't build myself a little ledge to help me move around, instead I just climb up and down like a crazy person, but it worked out. This storefront building is similar to the one that we created for our playground pavilion. It's made up of 4 storefronts, 2 in the front and then 1 on each side, and a gazebo in the center to look like the roof. Like I said earlier, we are getting pretty close to finishing this island, so lately I've been thinking about what outfit I want to wear for the dream and what outfit I want to leave for you when you come to visit the island. I might keep my outfit the way it is, since it's kind of the mascot for this island at this point, plus I actually really like this outfit. But I'm not sure what outfit to leave for you when you come to visit. I wanted to match the theme of the island, so I was thinking of a moldy tank top, but I was also thinking of just matching the color scheme, and for that I was thinking of a cute little frog t-shirt with a pair of pants that are similar to the ones I'm wearing. I do always like to leave an outfit in my dreams because I think it helps get across the theme a little bit more and really engrosses you in the experience of the island. I also did that on my island Pebble, and I might actually do an island tour video of that island pretty soon, but spoiler, it's almost like a multi-themed island, so each area I left a different kind of outfit, and I thought that was really cute. But I want to know if you leave outfits or gifts for people when they come to visit your island, so leave your answer down in the comments below. Alright, getting back to the build. I finished the top layer of this building, so now I'm just going to go around and make the bottom layer. For this front piece, I'm using a mix of the rusted and the gray retro transportation stops, and apparently I was very picky with the layout because I swapped them around a little bit. But I do like the addition of the retro transportation stops for this building, because with all the storefronts and the gazebos, I think the building was starting to look a little too plain brown. And then over on the side where our villager home is, I wanted to mix it up a little bit, so for this little alleyway I'm using a bunch of the wide display stands in the black variant, and I've turned them around so you can't see the window, so it just looks like a black wall. And I'm placing these in an upside down L shape to really tuck in the house. When I was first thinking of making this build, I didn't plan on using a villager house, but this area was just a little wider than I had imagined, and I do like how it turns out in the end, so it worked out. Now we're moving over to the inner side of this building. Just like the other building, I carved out a little spot to add our utility pole, and I love how this looks. I first tried adding the pole on top of the cliff, but it was way too tall, so having it at the bottom layer and almost inside of the building puts it at the perfect height and makes it look like it's part of the building rather than just a pole on the outside. And then to make the wall of the building, I'm using a combination of the retro transportation stops and the large fence item. For this building, I wanted to look like a grocery store or convenience store, so I'm adding 2 of the store shelves and a super cool looking retro ice cream machine. Then behind the buildings on both sides, I'm adding a line of hedges, and this helps to densen up the back of the alleyway and section it off from the street. And then behind the hedges and the fence item, I'm also adding in the only 2 trees we'll have in this build. And then to add to the entrance of our build, I'm adding a plain party lights arch between the trees. Well, at least I'm trying to add it. Moving back over to the front of our first building, we get to start the fun process of decorating and cluttering up the area. And this spot is the definition of me taking inspiration from a real life photo. As you can see, we have this photo that I've added to the screen, so just like the picture, I have a clothesline. We don't have a concrete surface that we can add items on top of, so instead I'm adding in an iron frame with a pair of work boots on top. And then next to this whole build, I'm just adding a few trash items in. And then to finish off this area, of course, we have to add the cruiser bike. It's not 100% like the photo, but this is what I mean when I say I take inspiration from real life pictures. Now we're going to make our way to the other side to decorate in front of this other building. And I apologize for the amount of time it takes me to find items in my pockets, especially when they're this full. It just kind of makes it look like I don't know how to read. This area I wanted to look like a little workshop, either where they repair items that they found or where they make some of their tools. So we are using an upright locker, the iron and wood workbench, which is actually the workbench I've been using to make this island, but I felt like it was perfect for this build. And then on the side we're adding a little tool cart and a toolbox. I'm also adding a few trash items on the other side of this area just to densen it up a bit and give it a more trashy and abandoned feeling. Then we're going to move over to the house area, and this is actually Ike's house. This won't be staying this customization, I just need to finish the 30 houses in Happy Home Paradise. I was also wanting to make a video for decorating the insides of all these houses, and we're coming up to the end of this island, so I really do need to hurry up and finish this Happy Home Paradise thing. Also, side note, I was initially thinking of having Ike's house in the tiered neighborhood build, so I kind of messed up the layout I had planned for that build, so I might be adding another human character's house to this island. And I had never thought I would run out of houses to use in builds. It's usually the other way around and I run out of room for the houses, so I've never had to create a second character, so that will be fun. But so far in this build I've given Ike a little area where he takes out his trash. I don't know how much sense that makes since I don't think there's a garbage service during an apocalypse, but I thought these items looked nice there. I also gave him a little seating area next to his house, and I actually really like this version of the range chair that I use, especially when it's paired with the vintage TV tray. I also gave him a car, and maybe that's why he has a little workshop area next to his house. Maybe that's his job to fix all the cars. That's actually a good idea for the inside of his house, maybe giving him a little apocalyptic mechanic office. And then a little way I'm detailing up this build without adding physical items is to change up the design codes on the ground. So instead of having the tiles be the little brick codes, I'm adding a few areas that are cardboard or newspaper codes. And again, this helps bring out the trashiness of the build, especially since I can't add any weeds, which is my usual go-to. Now moving back over to the alleyway, I want to add enough items to make this area look cluttered and unkept, but I want it to be very walkable still because I don't want it to prevent you from walking through the alleyway, which would also prevent you from being able to look at the bridge overlook build that we did in the last video. But really in this area, I was looking at the items I had in my pockets and just layering them together and trying not to have too many of the same colors next to each other. And then to finish off the backside of the buildings, I'm adding a few of the giant tank items behind each of the buildings, and this is just to have a little bit of something showing when you're walking behind the building and fill up that area, and I also just like the item. And then to finish off this build, I'm lining the last wall with some retro transportation stops, and this is just so that the cliff isn't showing. And here's the final build. But that's the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. Before you leave, make sure to give the video a like, comment, and to subscribe to the channel. If you watched to the end of the video, let me know in the comments what your favorite type of soda is. Bye, friends! Also, here's a quick shout out to all the channel members. If you want to join the ranch, make sure to click that join button down below.